Hey everyone, today I would like to talk about consciousness and mind and personality and what consciousness is, what a thought is, what a person is. So what do all of these questions have in common? They are all one and the same. What I mean by this is that a mind is made up of thoughts, and when the mind identifies with the thoughts, it creates personality, and then person is born based on that personality. But without the thoughts, will there be mind? In this case, what is a thought? A thought is nothing more than a picture that is reflected in the mind, and the mind makes the thought into an action, which creates movement. But why do thoughts even occur? Sometimes it is hard to say exactly why they occur, but thoughts are part of creation or part of consciousness, and creation needs thoughts, and thoughts need creation. When there is movement, consciousness is present. In consciousness, thought appear and disappear, creating traces of paths in one's experience. So an example that could make this easier to understand is that you can look at a big ocean, and you could use that ocean to represent consciousness or the universal consciousness. And when there is a ripple in the ocean, those ripples could be seen as thoughts. And those thoughts are flimsy, just like how the ripple is flimsy. They come and go all the time. They just leave traces behind. Just like that, those thoughts are also flimsy. So now, if the ocean identifies itself with the ripple, then unknowingly or by mistake, the ocean imagines itself to be the ripple. Whether the ripple is a good ripple or a bad ripple, or the ocean experiences the good and the bad of the ripple, and mistakenly identifies with the experiences, not the reality of its own beingness, because it sees itself in the ripple, not outside of it and containing it all. So why did I give this example? What does it have to do with thoughts, mind, and consciousness, and a person or a personality altogether? You see, if you take the ocean as consciousness that contains everything, then take the ripples that happen somewhere in the ocean as thoughts. So when consciousness identifies with the ripples or thoughts, it becomes the thoughts. Then, based on the thoughts, the universal consciousness creates its personality, which in return the person comes to the surface. Because of the thoughts not being understood by consciousness, it gets clouded by the thoughts, which forgets its roots. Or rather, it will be like dreaming, or being in a coma, like a wakeful coma. So this is basically one aspect of spirituality, the search for yourself. This is when the self-awareness in one's life is when consciousness is trying to wake up from a coma. Even after waking up, it is not the end, since an ocean needs something to hold it. Hence, consciousness also needs something to reflect upon. But what is that something? I'm not going to go and talk about what's beyond consciousness in this video. That will be another topic. But to continue this video, let's go back to the example of the ocean and the ripples. So an ocean has ripples, but those ripples don't come out of nowhere. There has to be somebody or something that causes the ripples. This can be said the same thing about consciousness, mind, and thoughts. For a ripple or a thought to happen in consciousness, there has to be something that causes the disturbance in consciousness. But what is it? And where does it come from? To answer most of these questions could be a bit tricky, since everything is based on concepts. Even the words we're speaking is based on concepts. But aside from that, so why do we even have thoughts in the first place, and how do they even occur? When these thoughts are given attention, they they will be realized to be something flimsy. They just come and go without any solid reality to them. And when consciousness mistakenly identifies with them, it just creates a whole mess in creation. So a person is born with a false assumption of the thoughts and the experiences based on the thoughts. When consciousness takes the experiences that appears on the surface as it is happening to it, or as reality itself, then it becomes the person that surrounds the memory of the experiences. When those experiences are seen to be of the person, then thoughts come and go based on the experiences leaving or creating more experiences, which ties into creating the whole world with just a false assumption of the self. Would it not mean that the thoughts are the one that clouds one perception of the real world? It is yes and no. Thoughts are there because creation needs them. Without thoughts, creation would stall, or wouldn't appear, or would disappear, or would not be in existence. Even if one comes to realize the real and goes beyond consciousness and unconsciousness, or goes beyond enlightenment, it does not mean that creation would stop automatically. And if creation or consciousness is there, then there will be movement. Movements are created by thoughts, and thoughts are also created by movements, so they need to exist or coexist together. Well, I hope that makes a lot of sense. Maybe not, but I'll guess this is all for today, and thank you for listening. If